My Boy Only Breaks His Favourite Toys by Taylor Swift. I'm returning today to the Tortured Poets department, this time to track 3 on the album, My Boy Only Breaks His Favourite Toys. In this song, Taylor describes a relationship with someone who becomes disgruntled with the relationship and begins to act in a destructive way. And the metaphor she uses here is of a child who becomes bored or angry with a toy that they've been using, a toy that initially was their favourite toy, but after a while they lose interest in that toy and begin to treat it badly. I can't help thinking, when I hear this song, of Toy Story, and in particular of the boy who lived next door, Sid, who treated his toys so badly. But even if children don't necessarily treat their toys badly, they do lose interest in their toys after a while. The initial gloss wears off. And that's the metaphor that Taylor is drawing on in this particular song to describe this relationship. So let's dive into it.
Oh, here we go again. The voices in his head called the rain to end our days of wild.
Most of us have a lot of self-talk that goes on inside our head, the voices in our head. And sometimes these can become very destructive, very negative. And that seems to be what's happening here to her lover in this song. The old voices are being heard again. The old habits, the old patterns are re-emerging. And they're beginning to sabotage this relationship, calling for the rain to end our days of wild. And I have here an image of children perhaps playing outside in the summer months, but as the summer draws to an end and it becomes cold and rain begins to fall, it brings an end to their days of wild. They have to retreat indoors.
Oh, here we go again. The voices in his head called the rain to end our days of wild. The sickest army doll purchased at the mall rivulets to send my plastic smile.
The sickest plastic doll. So he's gone into the store, he's picked out the sickest toy that he can find there. And rivulets descend my plastic smile. I think what we're seeing here is the older toy, the narrator in this song, being replaced by a newer model, a newer, flashier, sicker toy. And she's about to be discarded. Again, I get strong Toy Story vibes here.
The sickest army doll purchased at the mall rivulets to send my plastic smile. But you should have seen him when he first got me.
But you should have seen him when he first got me. Once upon a time, she was the shiny new toy. Now, in the context of a relationship, I guess this means that his eyes began to wander. He became bored with this relationship. He began to look for something new.
Send my plastic smile. But you should have seen him when he first got me. My boy only breaks his favorite toys. Toys. Oh, I'm queen of sand castles he destroys.
My boy only breaks his favourite toys. When I initially heard that, I had an image of a child being malicious towards his toys, like Sid next door. But in fact, I think there may be a slightly different meaning here, and that is that it's only the toys that he likes most, that he plays with most, that get broken. So it's not so much malice as overuse, I guess. And there's a sense in which she, the narrator, feels that she's been overused and therefore broken by this relationship. But once upon a time, she was the queen of the sandcastles that he built.
My boy only breaks his favorite toy.
does it fit too right? Puzzle pieces in the dead of night. Again, I think what's being referenced here is a sense of over-familiarity. The pieces fit together too easily. He could put them together in the dark of night. There was no novelty now. There was no challenge. So she should have known that it was only a matter of time then that he lost interest completely and went out looking for the new toy.
Oh, my boy only breaks his favorite toys. There was a litany of reasons why we could have played for keeps this time. I know I'm just repeating myself. Put me back on my shelf. But first, pull the string and I'll tell you that he runs because he loves me. He loves me. Cause you shouldn't have seen him when he first saw me.
Then she begins to reflect that a whole lot of reasons why this really should have worked out. This should have been forever this time. They could have played for keeps. But she knows she's been through this process before. She's just repeating herself. Okay, so put me back on the shelf. But pull my string and I'll tell you he only runs because he loves me. That's what she tells herself anyway in this relationship. He's running away because he loves her. After all, you should have seen him when he first saw me. There's a slight desperation, I think, in this particular verse. She struggles to believe, I think, that he's lost that initial love. He's only running away because he loves me. He's only breaking me because I'm his favourite.
There was a litany of reasons why we could have played for keeps this time. I know I'm just repeating myself. Put me back on my shelf. But first, pull the string and I'll tell you that he runs because he loves me. He loves me. Cause you shouldn't have seen him when he first saw me. My boy only breaks his favorite toys. Toys. I'm queen of sand castles he destroys. Cause I knew too much. There was danger in the heat of my touch. It's all forever, so he smashed it up.
Now she shifts her argument slightly. Now she argues that she was dangerous to him, that he felt heat in her touch. He saw forever in her, so he smashed it up. So now she's arguing that he was afraid of the commitment, that she was too much for him. Again, I sense some desperation in her argument here. She's trying to look for an explanation for what's happened. And this is to some extent a process of self-protection.
Cause I knew too much. There was danger in the heat of my touch. It's all forever, so he smashed it up. My boy only breaks his favorite toys. Once I fix me, he's gonna miss me. Once I fix me, he's gonna miss me.
And now yet another desperate appeal. Once I fix me, he's going to miss me. She's become broken through overuse, but she'll fix herself, and once she does, he'll want her back, right? It's really only this time listening through this song that I'm picking up this sense of desperation in the lyrics. This desperate need to explain what's happened to her, and also this desperate hope for how it all might be fixed again.
Once I fix me, he's gonna miss me. Once I fix me, he's gonna miss me. Just say when I play again, he was my best friend. Down at the Sandlot, I felt more when we played pretend than with
Now I think she turns to pleading. Just say when. I'd play again. Now she draws upon childhood imagery to describe the relationship. He was my best friend when we played down at the Sandlot. I felt more when we played pretend than with all the Kens. So even when there was a sense of falseness or dishonesty about the relationship, it still felt better than the other relationships, with all these other Kens, the Ken dolls. Because he took me out of my box. He's the one who brought me to life. He's the one who brought me out into the world and stole my tortured heart. But then he left all these broken parts, and we see the broken lyrics on the screen, which I think is a great effect. Then he told her she was better off. Now, I think this is a similar idea to one she expresses in another song on the album, which is Down Bad, where she uses there the imagery of being kidnapped by aliens, introduced to a whole new world, but returned back to Earth and left, told that it was for her own good, basically. And here it's the same kind of thing. His justification for this is, you'll be better off without me, basically. But she says, I'm not. I love the change in melody for this part of the bridge too. It's quite a complex song. It's difficult to know when the bridge actually starts. It's almost like a two-part bridge. And in the second part, the melody really lifts and changes, even though the words are really quite tragic. This is another song that Taylor wrote on her own, production by Jack Antonoff. Images of childhood appear throughout this album. Sometimes she's speaking about childlike behaviour, sometimes about childish behaviour, sometimes about the precocious behaviour of children. Sometimes it's just about the innocence of childhood. And here again, she returns to this image of childhood, of a child playing with his toys and becoming bored. And insofar as this song is about Matt Healy, she also refers to him elsewhere as a kind of child, a kind of man-child. And I think that recurs here again. I think it's a really catchy tune, and I love that sort of switch up in the second part of the bridge. Every time I hear that, I just want to come in and sing along with it. I do perhaps think the imagery becomes a bit overstretched here at times, and for that reason, I don't think it's quite as good as some of the other tracks on the album. Nevertheless, and particularly listening to it now, every time I do this with one of her songs, even though I know them quite well, when I sit down and begin to analyse them, I always see more in them. And I was surprised by the level of desperation that's expressed in the lyrics here. It's given me something else to think about, and I hope it has you too.